I'm Adam Booth and you're watching Sporting Icons.
Okay, now firstly, I have to say well done to Billy Nelson, because Billy Nelson did actually confront me on some of the things that I spoke about in the last video about Martin Bakole avoiding Filip Hrgovic. So I do have to give him a lot of credit because he has actually confronted me on some of the things that I said. Not many people do that. A lot of fighters, boxers, the managers, promoters, trainers, etc. They just kind of like get the ump with me and then they moan about me to other people. Then that gets around and then eventually I hear about it, but it always comes like second and third hand. At least Billy's actually come to me directly and said what it is that he thinks. Don't get me wrong, a couple of people have done before, like Dillian White, of course, he's confronted me on things. He actually called me up and had a go at me about things. Richie Riakporhe, a lot of you would have seen my interview with him where he actually pulled me up on something as well. So that's good. And I respect people who do that. I really do. Because again, I'm never going to get everything right. Of course not. I can only give my opinion on what it is that I see. Now, based on my opinion of what I saw yesterday with Billy Nelson and Kalle Sauerland, based on the Filip Hrgovic and Martin Bakole situation for the IBF mandatory. Again, I can only react based on what it is that I've seen. And what I've been updated with by Billy Nelson, by the way, is that Kalle Sauerland is actually in agreement with Billy Nelson. That he also thinks that Filip Hrgovic, Martin Bakole, that fight for August is too soon. It's not enough time. But he doesn't say that on social media. So Kalle Sauerland is playing it very, very smart. Billy Nelson, as I said yesterday, he is very active on social media and he will give his opinion on social media. Is he trolling at times? Possibly. But I think that with Billy Nelson, he puts his cards on the table for the world to see, where he will say that a fight between Martin Bakole and Filip Hrgovic, the time frame that they want to do it in isn't good enough. It's too soon. That's what Billy Nelson's saying. And that gives the impression that he's ducking Filip Hrgovic, especially when we're seeing Kalle Sauerland making it look like he wants to fight with Filip Hrgovic and Martin Bakole. But Kalle Sauerland is saying behind the scenes that he agrees with this. So Kalle Sauerland, you naughty, naughty man. You're throwing Billy Nelson under the bus when it comes to that one. So people like me, numbskulls, will just see what it is that I see and react to what it is. Okay. Now, when it comes down to it, what Billy has clarified is Martin Bakole and himself do actually want the Filip Hrgovic fight. If they could do it in maybe September or October time. And by the sounds of it, Kalle Sauerland is in agreement. But he's not going to put that out publicly, as in Kalle Sauerland, because he's going to want to make it look like he's offered Martin Bakole the fight. Martin Bakole don't want it. Why would he do that? So then he can move on to number 16, because Martin Bakole is ranked number 15 in the IBF, or at least he was a few days ago. I don't know if the IBF have updated anything by now. By the way, 14 people have turned down the Filip Hrgovic fight. 14 people have turned down Filip Hrgovic for the IBF mandatory. And that would include Andy Ruiz Jr., Luis Ortiz, Tony Yoka, and many others before they even got to Martin Bakole. Martin Bakole is number 15. So anyway, Kalle Sauerland, he's going to want to make it look like Martin Bakole doesn't want the fight. So therefore, IBF, he's got permission to move on to number 16, number 17, 18, 19, and so forth and so forth. Because obviously, the lower you go down, in theory, it doesn't quite work out that way, but in theory, the easier the opponent gets. In other words, it's a guaranteed win for Filip Hrgovic to become the IBF mandatory. Why would you want to put Filip Hrgovic in with Martin Bakole? Martin Bakole is a high-risk fight for Filip Hrgovic. Likewise, Filip Hrgovic is a high-risk fight for Martin Bakole. Neither one of these guys are going to be getting paid life-changing money for this fight. And it's unfortunate because it's a fight that I think hardcore boxing fans would love to see. Filip Hrgovic versus Martin Bakole for the IBF mandatory. But the financial reward isn't going to be there because unlike, we say, Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury and many, many others like a Dillian White, and they don't have the bigger market behind them, which is the casual audience. Okay, they don't have that. So therefore, Filip Hrgovic, Martin Bakole is not a pay-per-view fight. High risk, low reward. So what Kalle Sauerland wants to make it look like is Martin Bakole don't want to fight. So let's now move on to number 16, 17, 18, 19, yada, yada, yada. Even though Kalle Sauerland is saying to Billy Nelson behind the scenes, I agree with you. I don't think that this fight is enough time. Now, firstly, if both of these guys are in agreement, as in Billy Nelson and Kalle Sauerland, both agree that this fight is too soon, then if you're willing to fight in October or whenever it may be, you speak with the IBF. I'm sure they'll grant an extension even. Just get the fight done then, surely. Because it's not like the IBF are just going to call their mandatory straight away and Joshua has to fight the winner of Bakole and Filip Hrgovic right away. That's not what the situation is going to be, because the IBF mandatory situation has only just been completed with Hrgovic-Bakole. Now Joshua's moving on to his WBO obligation with Alexander Usyk. Then it's going to be the WBA's turn, which they still don't have a mandatory for some reason, by the way. Then it's going to come back round to the IBF. So even without anything in between it, such as an undisputed fight or even fights, the IBF, you're looking probably at least a year before the IBF order currently the champion Anthony Joshua to fight the winner of Bakole and Filip Hrgovic. So there's no real rush to have this fight done in August, is there? If necessary, both Filip Hrgovic and Bakole could have a tune-up fight next, maybe in August, and then these guys fight each other in October time. So as long as they both agree with that, I'm surely to God that the IBF will be okay with that. If the IBF are not okay with that, then okay, what do you do? What do you do? Kalle Sauerland, he's got his own way. He's going to move on to number 16, whoever that is. For me, I don't look outside the top 15, so I have no idea who number 16 is. But I am disappointed that 15 opponents are turned down Filip Hrgovic. I don't understand this. Well, I do, because obviously Filip Hrgovic is a very, very risky fight for anybody. But either way, so to clarify in the previous video, it's not just Bakole and Billy Nelson who's saying that this fight isn't long enough, as in August. Kalle Sauerland is also saying the same thing, just that he isn't publicly saying it. Naughty boy, Kalle. You're just throwing Billy Nelson under the bus, and people like me will react to it. So anyway, that's my thoughts. You drop me yours. Click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you on the next video.